Golden Lion King. Already close to its limit. Almost died as the death aura further eroded its body. It grew weaker and lacked the strength to even retaliate. This time, it truly felt the looming threat of death. The Golden Lion King was terrified to its core. It instinctively shouted at Dexter. Dexter, save me. Please, save me. Dexter smiled. Ha! If I remember correctly, you were the main force in the group that tried to eliminate me before. Right. You wanted to kill me just earlier. And now you want me to save you. Do you take me as a fool? I can save you. But you need to provide me with a convincing reason to do so. The Golden Lion King bellowed. Dexter, I'll just be frank. With your party's current strength, you're delusional to think you can leave this place alive. Let alone locate the divine weapon. If you save me, I can serve you and help you fight against T.S. and the others. You should know my capabilities well. I can contribute significantly to your quest. Dexter said. Fine. I have to admit your proposal is tempting. But I can't trust you. How about this? Give me your spirit pill. And I'll save you. What do you say? The Golden Lion King said. Are you toying with me? You already know I'm struggling to defend myself against the death spirits. Once my spirit pill leaves my body, my strength will decrease drastically. And I'll be instantly killed by the death spirits. Asking for my spirit pill now is no different from taking my life. Dexter responded. But what if you kill me after I save you? If I, Golden Lion King, said that I'll submit to you, I'll definitely follow your commands and never do anything that will go against my word. Please do not judge us Lion Kings with the thinking of a human. Dexter was tempted to accept the offer. After all, he knew firsthand about the Golden Lion King's powers. The latter was considered one of the mightiest among the primordial beasts. If it joined his party, the chances of them finding the divine weapon and leaving the ancient sector alive would increase significantly. Nevertheless, Dexter wasn't familiar with Golden Lion King and wasn't about to take its word so easily. He turned to Quinlan and sought the latter's opinion. Figuring since Quinlan and Golden Lion King were from the same era, he should know more about it. Quinlan shook his head at Dexter. Golden Lion King cannot be trusted. It was rumored that it plotted against its own father to gain the title of Lion King. Teaming up with such a beast will only increase the risk of us getting sabotaged. Golden Lion King cursed. Quinlan, you're talking nonsense. Everyone knows how filial I am toward my parents. I'm even willing to die for them. So how would I kill my own father? During my parents' funerals in the past, I cried so hard that I lost a significant amount of power. Everyone in the primeval forest knows this. Quinlan sneered. Ha! Dexter uttered pensively. I don't think Lion King is that reckless. Fine. I'll trust it this once. With that, Dexter flew toward the Golden Lion King. Quinlan grew anxious. You're a fool for not taking my advice. You'll regret it when Golden Lion King attacks you. Lacey hurriedly said. Mister. Yes. Why don't you go there and protect Dexter? What if he gets attacked by the Golden Lion King? Quinlan replied. Don't worry. Even if the Golden Lion King wants to betray us, it won't do it here and now. Its energy is almost depleted. So opposing us will only seal its death. His words is Lacey's mind. Dexter hovered above Golden Lion King. The latter said, help me block this death spirit so that I can escape. If you save my life, I'll repay you with mine in the future. Sure. Dexter smiled at Golden Lion King and started attacking the death spirits beneath him. Under Dexter's powerful blows, the death spirits around the Golden Lion King were wiped out. At least 800 or 900 death spirits were killed. If not 1,000. Chapter 2882. There were even formidable death spirits among the eliminated ones. Golden Lion King was thrilled. There's finally a chance for me to survive this predicament. It seized the opportunity, leaped up, and was ready to escape. Unexpectedly, Dexter suddenly launched an attack at it. Golden Lion King was already gravely injured and weakened. In addition, it had to continuously release energy to resist the Death Aura's corrosion. As a result, it failed to withstand Dexter's strike. Golden Lion King was hit, crashing heavily onto the ground and spitting out a mouthful of blood. It looked up at Dexter in dissatisfaction. "What are you doing, Dexter?" Dexter replied, "Golden Lion King. We agreed to fend off the death spirits together. Yet you're running away and leaving me to deal with the death spirits alone. Don't you think you're being too selfish?" Golden Lion King roared. "After I run, you should quickly escape too. We shouldn't fight the death spirits hidden. There are too many death spirits. And we can't possibly kill all of." Before it could finish its sentence, large amount of death spirits surged forward like a tide. Golden Lion King had no choice but to brace itself and continue fighting. Dexter casually annihilated another large group of death spirits. "I think it's better if we wipe out all these death spirits. Don't you think so?" The death spirits that Dexter killed weren't those around Golden Lion King but those far away from it. Hence, Dexter's action wasn't alleviating much of the pressure Golden Lion King was facing. Instead, because Dexter had massacred those death spirits, twice as many appeared, putting even greater pressure on Golden Lion King. ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Even it could guess Dexter didn't intend to save it. On the contrary, he was trying to harm it. The current number of death spirits was sufficient to do away with it several times over. Yet Dexter continued killing more death spirits and attracting twice as many over. "It's over. I'm done for this time." Golden Lion King bellowed skyward. "Dexter, you're shameless. How dare you set me up? We, the Lion Kings, will hold a grudge against you forever." Dexter flashed a faint smile. "You'll die here today. So how would your tribe members know I caused your death? Besides, the death spirits are killing you. So what does it have to do with me? You be ****************************** Death spirits. Dexter murdered your comrades. So why are you still attacking me and not him? I can't accept this. I refuse to accept this." Subsequently, Dexter ignored Golden Lion King and continued slaughtering more death spirits to attract more of them over. At that moment, the Golden Lion King could no longer retaliate and was soon entirely engulfed by the hordes of death spirits. Its body was covered in wounds. And it didn't even have the energy left to self-destruct. Roar! The Golden Lion King let out a weak roar. Then silence ensued. Dexter threw a punch at the swarm of death spirits. And the death spirits covering Golden Lion King instantly died and dispersed, revealing Golden Lion King's corpse. At that moment, its carcass had turned into a lump of char, having been corroded to death by the death aura of the death spirits. The death spirit's death aura was packed with corrosiveness comparable to sulfuric acids. Dexter struck the corpse gently, and Golden Lion King's remains shattered into pieces. A glittering object rolled out from the carcass. It was the Golden Lion King's spirit pill. Dexter immediately held the spirit pill in his hand. The pill felt cool and very comfortable to the touch. Moreover, the spirit pill's aura was much more intense than other spirit pills. Dexter mused. Golden Lion King is indeed worthy of the title, King. Even its spirit pill is exceptionally strong. After Golden Lion King died, those death spirits targeted Quinlan. The massive group of death spirits rushed toward Quinlan. Alarmed, Quinlan hastily called for help. "Master, save me." Even from a great distance, Quinlan felt suffocated by the death spirit's potent death aura. The consequences would be dire if he were surrounded by the death spirits. He might even face a worse fate than Golden Lion King. Most of his energy was used to resist the death aura. So he didn't have much strength left to escape. Dexter instantly enveloped Quinlan and Lacey with his energy and quickly fled with them. Chapter 2883. Quinlan let out a sigh before saying, "Darn it, that Golden Lion King's freaking unlucky. How did he end up provoking so many death spirits?" Dexter replied, "An animal will always be an animal. No matter how sentient they are. They're not as intelligent as humans. It only realized that two death spirits will appear when one is killed after luring out so many death spirits." Quinlan nodded in agreement. Indeed, Golden Lion King isn't the smartest being around. But its spirit pill is a wonderful thing. I can even sense the powerful aura its spirit pill is releasing from a distance earlier. Master, why don't we have a discussion? Dexter could guess what Quinlan wanted to discuss. Without a doubt, he was targeting the Golden Lion King spirit pill. Nevertheless, he still said, "Do speak your mind." Quinlan replied, "Master, I'll teach you everything I've learned in my life. So can you give me Golden Lion King spirit pill? Its spirit pill will save my life countless times." Dexter mulled over his request and answered, "I can only agree to half of your request." A confused look crept onto Quinlan's face at that. "It's either a yes or a no. What do you mean when you say you can only agree to half of my request?" "You can teach me everything you learn. But I can't give you the Golden Lion King spirit pill." Upon hearing that, Quinlan dropped his jaw. "Oh my god. How can anyone be this shameless? What do you mean by agreeing to half of the request? This isn't agreeing. This is being shameless." Naturally, the deal fell through. Dexter was never going to give Quinlan the spirit pill. But still he wanted to learn Quinlan's skills. "I'm your master. What's yours is mine. And what mine is still mine." When Quinlan realized that Dexter was slow, he urged, "Master, hurry up and move away from the group of death spirits. The death aura that they're exuding is corroding my body. I'm staying close to them so that they won't lose sight of us." "What? Why?" Quinlan was puzzled. It's not as if the death spirits are anything good. So why are you afraid of losing them? We might encounter Theus and the others later on. Theus and his group are powerful. We'll have a greater chance to defeat them if we use these death spirits to attack Theus. Quinlan responded with a thoughtful nod. "That makes sense." Dexter continued in an average pace. However, not long after they started their journey, he sensed something strange. "Do you realize that the death spirits are getting further and further from us?" Quinlan nodded in agreement. "Yes, they're slowing down." "Why?" Dexter then voiced out his confusion. "Are they giving up because they know they can't catch up to us?" Quinlan shook his head. "It doesn't seem like it. You've realized these two death spirits possess no intelligence. Coming after humans are their instinct. So why would they stop just because they can't catch up to us?" Right then, Lacey said, "Look, the death spirits have stopped." At that, both Dexter and Quinlan halted in their tracks and turned to look at the death spirits. Sure enough, the death spirits were slowing down until they stopped and started pacing in the same spot. Lacey cautiously said, "Dexter, I think I can sense their mood. They seem afraid of something. And that's why they're keeping their distance." Lacey was the descendant of Basilius. Her bloodline was powerful. And it was the complete opposite of the death spirit's death aura. Therefore, it was not strange that she was capable of sensing their terror. Dexter furrowed his brows. "Afraid? What are they afraid of?" Looking straight ahead, Quinlan said, "Without a doubt, they must be afraid of what's in front." Chapter 2884. What's in front? Dexter and the others stared into the distance for a while. Boom! Thunder sounded in the distance. The bolt of lightning exuded great force. And its resounding echo caused Dexter and Quinlan's hearts to momentarily skip a beat. The two men shared a look. Come on. Let's go over to take a look at it. They quickened their pace. The death spirits hesitated when they saw Quinlan leave. But ultimately, they did not go after him. Dexter and Quinlan soon reached the source of the lightning. Once they took in the sight of the area, they were stunned. A barren land lay before them, and bolts of lightning were striking the ground continuously. By then, the lightning had blackened the ground and left potholes in it, making it uneven. In fact, flames had engulfed the area. The continuous lightning strikes had created a web of flames, and Dexter could not see the end of it. Even a bug would have trouble crossing the lightning web, let alone a human. Taking in a deep breath, Lacey said, "If my guess is right, the death spirits were afraid of these bolts of lightning." Dexter nodded in agreement. "Yes, I can also sense that these aren't ordinary lightning bolts. I can feel the pressure they're exuding." "Quinlan, you're a knowledgeable man. Do you know what these are?" Quinlan hummed in contemplation for a while. "They must be a restrictive spell. The pressure you sense has to come from the power of a restrictive spell." Dexter stiffened. "A restrictive spell? Where did it come from?" "Obviously from someone," Quinlan replied. "But who?" Quinlan shook his head. "I don't know. This restrictive spell looks old. It might even have existed for longer than I have existed in this world." Those words shot terror in Dexter's heart. This restrictive spell might even be older than Quinlan. How powerful was the person to be capable of setting up a restrictive spell that lasts for tens of thousands of years and is still this mighty? Dexter then said, "The restrictive spell is affecting me despite the distance. So I doubt we'll be able to cross it." "Ha!" Quinlan responded. "It's almost impossible to cross this restrictive spell with our flesh bodies." After a pause, Dexter said, "Come on. Let's see if we can walk around it instead." "Sure." Thus, Dexter, Lacey, and Quinlan started walking around the restrictive spell formation. Alas, the results were disappointing. It seemed like the restrictive spell formation was circular and endless. Dexter soon gave up. This restrictive spell formation should be circular in shape and must be protecting the center of the ancient sector. If we want to get inside, we'll have to cross the restrictive spell formation. Quinlan bobbed his head. "Yes, but it's not as if our efforts were fruitless. At the very least, we've come to realize that it's highly likely that the divine weapon is in the center of the ancient sector. Otherwise, there's no need for such a mighty restrictive spell to protect the area." Dexter rubbed his temples. "The problem we have now is, how are we going to get past the restrictive spell formation?" Looking up in the sky, Quinlan uttered, "I wonder how tall this restrictive spell formation is. We might be able to get past it from above." At that, Dexter leaped up to observe the formation. Once he landed, Quinlan hurried over to him and asked, "How is it? Is it tall?" Dexter answered, "No. That means we'll be able to get past the restrictive spell formation from above." Dexter shook his head. "We can't. The top of the formation is covered by the spell too. There's no way in." A look of despair appeared on Quinlan's face at that. "Then what can we do?" "Wow! That's a cute squirrel," Lacey abruptly exclaimed. "Squirrel? What squirrel?" The men quickly turned toward where she was looking at. Chapter 2885. At one point, a squirrel had crept up behind them. The squirrel looked ordinary, just like squirrels in the outside world. However, its fur was smoother, and it had two protruding big teeth. It looked dumb and cute. The squirrel was standing in its spot, staring at them with its guileless eyes. As a matter of fact, the squirrel seemed to have a friendly smile on its face. Interest piqued, Lacey took a step forward, wanting to touch the squirrel. However, Dexter stopped her. Lacey, don't get close to it. Why? Lacey queried, looking at Dexter curiously. Don't you find the squirrel strange? Why would a squirrel be here in a place full of death spirits and where no creatures live? No ordinary living beings can survive here. So this squirrel has to be something powerful. It's powerful, but it's pretending to be harmless. Something must be up. Lacey nodded in agreement. Squirrel, where did you come from? Why are you here? All of a sudden, the squirrel took out a chestnut and tossed it at Dexter. It was a gentle throw, so Dexter easily caught it. The force behind the throw was the same as a normal squirrel's. Dexter frowned. This squirrel's too weak. Before he could finish his sentence, the squirrel threw more chestnuts at them as it squeaked. Again, Dexter and Quinlan easily caught the squirrel's chestnuts. It really seemed like the squirrel was only as powerful as an ordinary squirrel. So Dexter and Quinlan could not help but become suspicious. What's going on with this squirrel? Could it be that it's just a normal squirrel? But how can a normal squirrel survive in such a harsh environment? Right then, the King of Dragons suddenly said, "The squirrel saying that you stole its chestnuts, and it's asking you to return them to it." At that, Dexter queried, "King of Dragons, you can speak to animals." "Obviously, I'm the king of animals. Of course I can speak with them. But when did we steal its chestnuts? This squirrel must have gotten the wrong person." The King of Dragons answered, "I can sense it. This squirrel isn't that powerful. It only possesses some level of self-awareness. It can't recognize humans. It can only recognize its own kind. I'm guessing that a human stole the squirrel's chestnuts before. So it now thinks that you're that human. Someone stole its chestnuts before. We're the only ones in this place besides T.S. and his group. It can't be that T.S. stole the squirrel's chestnuts. Right. Why would he do that?" Dexter wondered out loud. The King of Dragons shook its head and muttered, "How am I supposed to know the answer to that? Ask the squirrel for me," Dexter urged. The King of Dragons sighed. "I'm the King of Dragons and the Master of all beasts. This half-sentient creature has no right to speak to me." A scowl manifested on Dexter's face immediately. "Why? Do you want me to kick you out of me right now? You're currently grievously injured. And if I were to toss you out, the death spirits will definitely come after you. You'll die. How dare you threaten me? Fortunately for you, I'm a magnanimous being. I won't stoop to your level. Coincidentally, I was once friends with the King of Squirrels. Perhaps I'll be able to find out about my old friend by talking to it." With that said, the King of Dragons started conversing with the squirrel. The squirrel squeaked, and so did the King of Dragons. It was then Dexter realized why the King of Dragons did not initially want to talk to the squirrel. The almighty King of Dragons was squeaking like a squirrel. It was a hilarious sight. A while later, the King of Dragons said to Dexter, "According to the description the squirrel gave to me, it's very likely that the one who stole its chestnuts was T.S." Chapter 2886. Apparently, they stole the chestnuts to lure out the native race beneath the restrictive spell formation. Dexter knitted his brows. The native race beneath the restrictive spell formation. What's that? They're atrocious criminals. There are all manners of beings in the group: animals, humans, and more. They've been sealed underground by an ancient supreme being. And they can't get out ever. Naturally, these criminals won't submit so easily. So they're constantly fighting against the restrictive spell. Every time they fight against the restrictive spell, they'll be sanctioned by divine punishment. These lightning bolts are divine punishment. Shock colored Dexter and Quinlan's eyes. They could not believe that there was life beneath the restrictive spell. How powerful are they if their fight against the spell attracts divine punishment? And how powerful is that ancient supreme being that sealed them here? Dexter then asked Quinlan. Did you witness the ancient supreme being sealing them here back then? Quinlan shook his head. I didn't. And I didn't witness any phenomena. Either. In other words, other humans have come to this island before you did. You weren't the first human on TS Island. Who is this ancient supreme being? Dexter wondered. Who said that I'm not the first human on TS Island? This is the ancient sector. It's cut off from the outside world. Even if something happens in the ancient sector, I won't be able to see them from the outside. Oh, wait. Now I remember. A phenomenon did occur shortly after I arrived. Dexter couldn't be bothered to argue with Quinlan about whether or not the latter was the first human on TS Island. His priority was to find the divine weapon before leaving the island with Lacey. Turning to the King of Dragons, Dexter asked, what does the theft of the chestnuts have anything to do with passing through the restrictive spell formation? Quinlan ended up answering him instead. The group sealed beneath the restrictive spell formation has not eaten for tens of thousands of years. Even chestnuts will make them go insane yearning for it. Naturally, they'll be fighting for the chestnuts and stop assaulting the formation. Once they stop assaulting the formation, they won't trigger divine punishment. That way, T.S. and his gang would be able to get through effortlessly. Dexter gasped as realization dawned upon him. This is a sound plan. Dexter then hastily turned to the King of Dragons and said, let's do the same. I'm sure we'll be able to get past this restrictive spell formation too. Theoretically, this works. The King of Dragons agreed. Come on. Let's find some chestnuts. We're too far behind T.S. and his group. Thus, Dexter led Quinlan and Lacey to look for the squirrel's chestnuts. Squeak, squeak, squeak. However, the squirrel suddenly started squeaking. Its squeaks were so sharp that normal warriors would have passed out upon hearing it. However, for strong warriors like Dexter, Quinlan, and the King of Dragons, the squirrel's noises would only distract them momentarily and would not cause them any substantial harm. Therefore, Dexter ignored the squirrel and hastened his pace. However, the King of Dragons suddenly said, wait a moment. Stop. Dexter paused. What's wrong? The squirrel said that it's going to strike us down if we lay a finger on its chestnuts. It's not going to let us off alive. Is the squirrel trying to frighten us into submission? It's just a little squirrel. What can it possibly do? As if it had understood what Dexter said. The squirrel grimaced angrily, but it only made it look cuter. In the next second, it started digging the ground fervently. And in no time, it had dug up a hole. Something white appeared under the soil. Upon closer inspection, Dexter realized it was a bone. He could not tell which species bone it was, but it was glimmering. So evidently, it was a bone of someone formidable. Chapter 2887. Picking up the bone. Squirrel showed it to Dexter and the others while squeaking away. Seemingly in explanation, Squirrel is saying that this bone is the bone of an ancient supreme being and is exceedingly hard. With our capabilities, we'll never be able to break it. The King of Dragons translated. Dexter shared a look with Quinlan. Is this really the bone of an ancient supreme being? Quinlan nodded. Yes. Regretfully, it's too ancient that the spiritual energy on it has long since dissipated. It's no longer of any use. But its toughness is downright remarkable. It's a perfect material to forge divine weapons. If the King of Dragons were to use its fire seed, it may be able to refine this bone. In other words, it won't be able to destroy this bone with its capabilities alone. Dexter asked. Again. Quinlan gave a dip of his head in affirmation. Dexter shifted his gaze to Squirrel's two massive front teeth. I don't believe it can damage this ancient supreme being's bone. Considering his petite stature when even a being as powerful as the King of Dragons isn't capable of it. I don't quite believe it either. The King of Dragons seconded. Squirrel swept a disdainful glance over Dexter and the others. Then, it opened its mouth and sunk its teeth into the bone. Crack. Boom. Following a crisp snapping sound. The bone broke. As the ancient supreme being's bone cracked. A bolt of thunder and a crack of lightning manifested. Striking the ground beside Squirrel. Consequently, an enormous dent appeared underneath Squirrel's feet even as the soil was burnt and turned jet black. Unable to escape in time, Squirrel was blasted by the remnant might of the thunderbolt and tumbled several times, ending up with a mouthful of dirt. After taking a few rolls on the ground, it stood up and dusted itself, sticking its hands on its hips. It stared at Dexter arrogantly and squeaked. "You're afraid now. Ha! How adorable!" Lacey exclaimed. That rendered Dexter speechless. "I reckon you must have misunderstood the meaning of adorable." With a bite, it broke an ancient supreme being's bone and even sparked a thunderbolt. Such capability makes it a being we admire and idolize. Damn! One can never judge a book by its cover. For appearances are often deceiving. Never had he imagined that such a pint-sized body actually contained invincible energy. Going up against a warrior-like being like Squirrel would only be courting death. Dexter, Quinlan, and even Fortuna promptly developed a healthy dose of fear towards Squirrel. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Squirrel started squeaking once more. Squirrel said it'd spare us if we were to leave immediately. Otherwise, it'd devour us whole, erasing us from existence. The King of Dragons translated. Needless to say, Dexter was unwilling to leave empty-handed. Besides, if they were to leave right then without obtaining a divine weapon, death would be the only end awaiting them. He briefly mulled it over before saying to the King of Dragons. "King of Dragons, try asking Squirrel why it didn't stop Theus and the others when it was so powerful but allowed them to steal its chestnuts." The King of Dragons squeaked out the question. And Squirrel squeaked back its answer in turn. Squirrel claimed that Theus stole its chestnuts while it was away, so it didn't know about it. Otherwise, it would have long since devoured Theus and the others. The King of Dragons translated. Dexter's brows knitted together, for he caught something amiss. If it didn't see Theus stealing its chestnuts, why would it suspect us? Put the question to it. King of Dragons. The King of Dragons did as ordered. Squirrel started hemming and hawing. In the end, it panicked and threatened fiercely. "You better get the hell out of here. Otherwise, I'd really devour the lot of you." Grr. "Oh, it's so cute," Lacey purred. "I, too, feel that this squirrel isn't as powerful as we think. If it could really defeat us easily, it should have attained full sentience ages ago, considering its capabilities. But it's evident that it's only half sentient at present and can't even communicate with us telepathically." Quinlan interjected. Chapter 2888. Dexter bobbed his head in agreement. "Yeah, that makes sense. I now duly suspect that this squirrel is trying to fool us. I don't see where the flaw is. You're liar." It indubitably broke the ancient supreme being's bone with a single bite. "Do you mean that the bone was actually fake?" Quinlan asked. "That bone was real. My suspicion is that its strength is limited to its teeth, and it's pitifully weak in other aspects. For instance, it's lacking in speed," Dexter suggested. Quinlan smacked himself in the head. "Damn. This possibility is exceedingly high. No matter how powerful it is, there's no point if it can't catch up to its enemy. Other than self-defense, its pair of massive teeth are of no use. Come, let's feel it out," Dexter proposed. "King of Dragons, tell Squirrel we're now going to its place for a visit. We won't take its chestnuts, so have it lead the way ahead." The King of Dragons conveyed the man's words to Squirrel in their entirety. "It's already gracious of me to spare the lot of you. Yet, you even want to go to my place for a visit. This is just too much. If you continue trying, I'll devour you all for real. Squirrel retorted. In response, Dexter reassured, we harbor no animosity toward you. Nor do we dare to have any enmity against you. After all, we're not your match even if we were to join hands when you've got such outstanding capabilities. We merely want to go to visit your place with good intentions. Don't worry, for we won't be going empty-handed. I've got an Earth-level divine weapon. I wonder if you're interested in it. Having said that, he whipped out the Dragon King sword. Squirrel's eyes instantly lit up. A sense of fiery longing was etched across its features. It alternated its gaze between the Dragon King sword and Lacey. Finally, it gritted its teeth and relented. Fine. I can allow you to visit my place. But you're not to touch anything there. Otherwise, I'll bite you all to death. I'm not scaring you. I dare do it for real. When you've visited my place, you must leave this Dragon King sword for me as a gift of thanks. Oh yes, to prevent any trickery on your part. I want that woman to be my hostage. Squirrel shot out a hand and pointed at Lacey. Dexter and Quinlan exchanged a glance. Well, there are too many inconsistencies. First and foremost, they could tell that Squirrel liked Dexter's Dragon King sword a lot. If it were truly beyond powerful, it would not have taken an interest in the sword. It was apparent that it was not as mighty as the picture it portrayed. Second, it would have forcibly snatched the Dragon King sword away instead of negotiating if it were that strong. Third, the fact that it demanded a girl to be its hostage made it clear that it had no confidence in subduing Dexter and the others. Dexter merely chuckled. Sure. Please lead the way ahead. Squirrel. Okay. Squirrel leaped forward. One could tell that it was exerting its full strength. But its speed was only comparable to the jog of an ordinary person at most. It was wholly incomparable with Dexter and the others' speed. Without warning, Dexter unleashed his full speed. You're too slow. Squirrel. We'll go to your place first and wait for you there. Zoom. Blurring into an after image. The few of them vanished without a trace in the blink of an eye. Squirrel was stunned for a moment before it squeaked frantically. Stop right there. Please immediately. You're not allowed to go. You be asterisk stars. Let me lead the lot of you. Otherwise, you'd get lost, seeing that it could not catch up with them. Dexter breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Phew. That was scary. Squirrel merely has sharp teeth but is pitifully weak in other aspects. Especially speed. It can't pose any threat to us. They proceeded to sprint all the way. Soon, an expanse of chestnut trees appeared ahead. By then, Squirrel had been ditched a long-distance away. The chestnut grove was small, with only a dozen trees. Half of them had been picked clean, leaving them bare. Chapter 2889. Meanwhile, the fruits on the rest of the chestnut trees were not quite ripe yet. I wonder if the aborigines under the restrictive spell would like these unripe chestnuts. Just pick them. We won't know unless we try. Just as Dexter and the others were about to make their move, a bolt of thunder and a crack of lightning split the air out of the blue. It was loud to the point of being deafening. They hastily jerked their heads up, only to be greeted by the sight of a spatial crack in mid-air. On the heels of that, a figure fell out of it. On a closer look, the few of them were scared out of their wits. It was none other than Squirrel. Oh no, it's that Squirrel. Good lord. It actually ripped open space with its teeth and caught up to us by traversing space directly. Both Dexter's and Quinlan's expressions turned grim. Indeed, its speed is slow, but that doesn't matter when it can traverse space. That makes it much faster than us. Fortunately, it opened the exit above us and not beside us. Otherwise, we'd have turned into minced meat with a single bite from it. They all trembled violently. Oh God! We're doomed. We might have created a cosmic mess this time. Falling from the sky, Squirrel plummeted at breakneck speed, seemingly having lost control of its body. Luckily, it spread its tail in the nick of time and curbed its fall, slowing its speed. However, it fell from too high a height, so there was still a muffled bang when it hit the ground despite having tried its best to decelerate. Opening its mouth, it spat out a mouthful of blood. It stayed beyond pathetic, although it was not fatally injured. It appeared to be in agonizing pain. Judging from its expression, Dexter cautiously asked Quinlan, "Say, Mr. Yes, why didn't that squirrel set the opening of the spatial passage beside us?" After giving it some thought, Quinlan said, "Could it be that it's rather kind and didn't want to hurt us?" "Do you believe that?" Dexter scoffed. Quinlan shook his head. "No, even if it didn't want to hurt us, it didn't have to set the opening at such a high place." Almost falling to its death, Dexter added, "Kalahati. The only explanation is it can't guarantee the place where the exit of the space it rips through would appear." Quinlan concluded. Dexter burst out laughing. "This must be it. Oh well. This squirrel's life is pretty tragic. Its teeth are as hard as nails and have no problems breaking through an ancient supreme being's bone. But its speed is too slow, practically rendering it useless other than self-defense. In compensation, it has the ability to traverse through space, yet it can't choose where the exit opens." He hollered at Squirrel. "How impressive, Mr. Squirrel. I'm impressed that you can even bite through space." Cough, cough, coughing uncontrollably, Squirrel struggled up from the ground and wiped the blood off the corner of its mouth. No sooner had it done so than blood trickled out again. Its expression was pallid, making it clear that it was putting up a tough front. "But of course, there's nothing in this world I can't bite through." Smiling, Dexter asked, "Mr. Squirrel, may I know why you opened the exit at such a high place just now? Weren't you afraid of falling to your death?" A smidge of embarrassment crept into Squirrel. "I just like it." "Okay. Sure. That's okay. Oh yes, Mr. Squirrel. Do you mind showing us your ability to rip through space to broaden our horizons?" Dexter requested. Squirrel said impatiently, "The space here is unstable in the first place. If I were to do so to another stretch of space, this entire space might collapse. At that time, all of us will be in danger of perishing. Alright, you've all visited my place. You can now hand that Dragon King sword over to me. We merely came to your place for a look. Yet we have to pay such a high price. We'll be on the losing end to give the Dragon King sword to you." "I find it unfair," Dexter countered begrudgingly. "How about this? Show us your teleportation technique, and I'll willingly give this Dragon King sword to you. What do you think?" Chapter 2890. Squirrel heaved a sigh. "Fine. Then, I realize your wish and broaden your horizons. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm only going to demonstrate it once." Inhaling deeply, it first sharpened its teeth with its claws before opening its mouth as wide as possible and biting hard on the space before it. Rip, following a crisp tear. A crack manifested in the initially stable space from its bite. Behind the crack was a spatial passage that was not entirely stable. Nonetheless, it was already more than enough for Squirrel to pass through. With a leap, Squirrel jumped into the spatial passage. In the next second, its figure appeared in mid-air and hurtled down at full tilt. Despair was written all over its face. "Damn it, why did the exit open in mid-air again? I'm going to suffer a horrible crash again this time." It tried its best to maintain its posture and spread its tail wide, hoping for a gentler and suave landing. Dexter, Quinlan, And the others could not resist chortling. They were basically certain that Squirrel could not control the opening of the spatial passage exit. Only a fool would open the exit so high and risk falling to death. After landing, Squirrel ended up with its face swollen and bruised. However, its teeth remained as strong as ever. Squeak, squeak, squeak. It clamored. You'll now give me the Dragon King sword. Yes. Dexter whipped out the Dragon King sword with a smile. Of course. Your ability to traverse through space is impressive. Mr. Squirrel. This sword is a gift to you. Then. Squeak. 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 Thank you. Squirrel chirped. Thereafter, it swaggered toward Dexter. Unexpectedly, Dexter abruptly shot a hand out and stopped it from advancing. Wait a moment. Stop. Squirrel regarded the man anxiously. Why? You're going back on your word. Of course not, but Mr. Squirrel, please come and retrieve this Dragon King sword by traversing through space. I wasn't quite paying attention earlier and would like another demonstration of your amazing skill. I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. Honestly speaking, Mr. Squirrel, this Dragon King sword of mine is incredibly precious. Even if I were to ask you to teach me the art of traversing through space before giving it to you, you'd be on the winning end. Right now, I'm merely requesting that you demonstrate the ability once more. Yet you're already impatient. Isn't this too much? Squeak. 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 Right back at you. The agreement was to give me the Dragon King sword. After I demonstrated my teleportation technique, I suspect that the lot of you are playing me for a fool. Squirrel countered. Never mind. Then, the deal is off, Dexter uttered. Squeak. 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 Squirrel relented. Fine. Fine. I'll satisfy you. Keep your eyes peeled. Wait a moment, Mr. Squirrel. Just teleport right before me and take the Dragon King sword. Squirrel stared fixedly at the Dragon King sword in the man's hand. Locking onto the target. Please don't make a mistake this time. Please get it right this once. A moment later, it opened its mouth and bit the space before it. Bleep. In the next second, instead of appearing anywhere near Dexter, it ended up 100 meters away. Despondency swamped Squirrel. Damn it. It screwed me up at such a critical juncture. Dexter and Quinlan laughed uproariously. This squirrel is really amusing. Its teeth are strong and can seemingly devour anything. But its speed is pathetic. Its ability to traverse through space is also incredible. Yet it can choose the spatial passage exit. Ultimately, these two abilities are pitifully weak and utterly useless. Haha, it's too hilarious. Composing itself, Squirrel demanded. Alright, you'll now give me the Dragon King sword. Yes, of course. Traverse through space and come over here to retrieve it. Okay, cut it out. Hurry up and pick the chestnuts. Stop teasing Squirrel. Quinlan interjected. Let's make our move.